we have Susanne Paddel and Stéphane Bellon that are present also in Rennes, and the rest of us are online. The session will be recorded, so I hope that that is fine for all the participants. Please, if this is not in line with the policies of your institutions or other reasons, consider that this will be the case for the session. I think I have already said I have some technical issues, so cannot see all of you. So I wanted to greet you, and I will be sharing the presentation and also share with you the program in a second. So. Can everybody see everything? Some sign, please. Is everything okay?
Yes, okay.
Okay, thank you. Housekeeping indications. So I already said webinar will be recorded. Please keep your microphone and camera turned off. We have speakers that will be with their cameras on. If you have comments, there is a chat section, and chairs and co-facilitators will try to respond and follow to your comments. If you have questions, there is a separate section on questions, so please put your questions in that area. And the material from the session will be available on Core Organic website. Agenda for today is quite tight, as all the agendas at Organic World Congress. We will have a brief introduction, short introduction of what the Core Organic Network is. Then we will try to simulate one of our meetings, because this is a large transnational network, and maybe just seeing data on how many calls and how many projects is not that vivid. So we will have a role play team, and we will try to simulate this for you. You're most welcome to put your questions in the chat, and my colleague Malene Jacobsen will follow this block 1. In block 2, we have we called it macro teams. Core Organic is a network that is funding projects, research projects, and classical teams that we have are related to animal production, plant production, and organic food processing. We hope to stimulate you with some of our findings and work that has been done. And then with this, we enter into block 3, where there is a panel discussion, including an additional presentation of perspective from the non-EU member states. And we are open to hear your views on what the future research should look like, what are the benefits of transnational cooperation, and of course, if you would like to join and exchange your experience with the Core Organic members. We have a special greetings from Rennes. I have already mentioned that some of our members are there, and these beautiful views are from the site where the Organic World Congress is taking place, and from the opening ceremony. Core Organic Fund Consortium. So what is Core Organic? Core Organic is a network of 26 public institutions, ministries, or research councils that join the forces on transnational level to fund research in organic food and farming since 2004. ICROFS that I represent and I work in is International Center for Research in Organic Food Systems. We are the secretariat of the network, and we are based at Aarhus University in Denmark. These strange acronyms, ERA-NET, because we are ERA-NET Core Organic, they refer to European Research Area. So that is a model used in European context to enhance transnational research, and the ERA-NETs are the networks that support specific thematic areas. In our case, ERA-NET Core Organic is, of course, related to improvement of knowledge bases and innovation capacity related to organic food and farming. and we strongly support work in this area because we consider that it is important development pathway for more sustainable agriculture and food production. But at the same time, it is also area that is very knowledge intensive, and that's why we think that the support of the research is a key. Core Organic has a longer history. We have applied to Organic World Congress 2 years ago, approximately, to present our 15th anniversary. So that was in 2019. Now we are a little bit older. And we had different program periods, Core Organic 1, 2, Core Organic Plus, and currently Core Organic Co-Fund. This is following different European funding schemes because the European Commission is co-funding this program together with the national and regional funders. Since 2004, we have launched 8 transnational calls. So it means all members or different members have participated, selecting 62 research projects for 61.9 million euros. Core Organic geography, you can see how the network has expanded from the first Core Organic that started in 2004 with 11 partner countries to having now 19 partner countries and 26 different institutions and 1 network member. And we are open to have a new collaboration. So this is an invitation to all of you that represent institutions or stakeholder partners that have not been in contact with us before. What do we do in order to do the research calls? There is a quite interesting preparation phase. And for our calls in 2016, you can see this is the first call, and for the second call in 2019, we negotiate and we discuss and we are in dialogue with our funding institutions for about 1 year, 1.5 years, to prepare jointly the topics that are that can relate to the national regional priorities. So you can see that there are usually 3-4 topics per each call, and they classically are related to animal science, animal production systems, plant production systems, and organic food processing. It can be also related to feed or other aspects of organic food system. If you want to learn more about the projects, we will have also pitches later that will touch upon this theme in different areas. But if you would like to learn more, you can also find information on our website. And you can access the open access archive Organic ePrints. That is the archive that collects all the material from the projects. It's an open access and it's one of the top 10 archives related to agriculture. Let me see. Yes, I think that here I would like to prepare the scene a little bit for what will follow. And I have mentioned that there is a role play team. So we would like to simulate for you how it looks that we have research topics, we have priorities, and everything is set, the call is announced, the researchers are preparing their project proposals, and how then we select the proposals. This is just example of our last call that was launched in 2021. It was a smaller call where not all participants of Core Organic took part, but we had partners from Morocco and Algeria that have joined us with 13 funding countries. Then we specifically targeted organic farming systems for improved mixed plant and animal production. So that was our overall team. And then we had 3 teams on mixed animal farming systems, robust and resilient crop production systems, and animal feed at local level. you can also see that 13 member countries have sorry, just move this. This is a real call budget, so it's not a simulation. It's just for your overview that each country has a public institution that is a partner representative, and this is in thousands. So this is 100,000 euros, 307,000 euros. So every country has a certain funds available, and then they dedicate them possibly to all areas, or maybe sometimes they exempt themselves from some areas. So I think this is how the system is announced to the researchers, but then representatives of these countries, they come to a joint selection meeting where they, based on the scientific experts indication, they have to select the best projects. Maybe there can be 10 or 20 projects, and it's usually not possible to fund all of them because the funds are limited. So for that reason, we have selection meetings where we agree based on following criterias. And these criterias are going to be part of the role play as well. These are the real criterias, but we will try to simulate for you how it looks also in the real meeting. So the aim is to select the highest number of high quality and relevant projects. Funders select projects based on the ranking list provided by scientific experts and available funding. During the selection process, the following principles are considered. So geographical balance, ensuring that all countries participate in the call, coverage of call topics, so that animal, plant, and feed aspects are considered, and funding as many projects as possible. During the selection process, funders can also increase their budget or can decide to go to the next project, to skip some projects on the ranking list. So these are, remember, we try to have the highest number of the projects. We try to have a geographical balance, coverage of all topics, and then there are some possibilities maybe to increase the budget or to do some skipping at the ranking list. Now I will kindly invite all the role play participants to have their camera on. Maybe other participants can have their cameras switched off so that you can have more direct vision on how the meeting is simulated. These are all fictional data, so this is not the real data was shown in the previous slides. This is just for simulation. And I kindly ask the role play delegates to present themselves. I'm representing the Secretariat of Core Organic and will be chairing the meeting, but I kindly ask you, please, starting with Algeria.
Hello, I'm representing the Ministry of Agriculture and Food of Algeria, and my aim is to fund as I can.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You can see that the preferred topics of Algerian delegates are all, so they fund all topics, and they have 3 diamonds available for the funding of Core Organic Coal. Thank you. Denmark, please.
Yes, I'm representing the Danish Agricultural Funding Agency, and yeah, we're very pleased to see that our researchers managed to get into the top 3 projects. So we're looking forward to this selection meeting and the selected projects.
Thank you. Thank you. I kindly ask Danish delegates to raise the volume of a little bit of the microphone. Thank you. Italy, please.
Good morning, everybody. I represent Italy, in particular the Ministry for Sustainable Rural Development, which exists in this simulation. And I'm committed to fund as many projects as possible with the focus on animal and crops topics.
Thank you very much. I kindly invite Portuguese delegate also to present himself.
Good morning. I represent Portugal, and that's the new Ministry for Ecological Transition, Agriculture, Health and Education, because that's a concept ceremony we had during the Congress to extend the mandate of ministries. That's a maxi-tree now. My role in that new consortium is to represent a new common partner. And since we have many ministries funding, that's why 4 diamonds. Thank you.
I warmly welcome Portuguese delegate, also having established this new institution. Congratulations and welcome to the meeting. I kindly ask the Slovenian delegate to present herself.
Good morning. I'm representing the Slovenian funding agencies, and I invite all colleagues from other funding agencies to play a fair play role.
Thank you very much. To Slovenian delegate, we should certainly remember what are the rules of the selection meeting and maintain the collegial and co-organic spirit in selecting of the projects. Just to remind to delegates that in our 15 years plus career, we have selected 62 projects. So I think it should not be a problem to deal with the following 5 that we have on the screen. We have 5 top ranked projects. So you can see the scientific score from 15, the highest, to 11.5, the lowest. Project names are indicated red, yellow, green, blue, and orange. And their topics are also indicated in the following column. So I formally now open the discussion. We will go project by project and understand the situation, where I kindly ask delegates to keep a track of their budgets. To remind ourselves, Algeria has 3 diamonds, Denmark 2, Italy 3, Portugal has 4 diamonds, and Slovenia 2. So please consider your budget and your availability of funds. In the context of the first project that has a really top scientific score, that is the highest, 15, we have Algeria. This is the formal acronym of Algeria. We have Denmark, Portugal, and Italy. So I would like to hear opinion of delegates if you would be willing to fund. This is our procedure to accept the highest ranking project, but if there are any comments on formally confirming and adopting the red project.
I can say, may I word?
Please, I cannot see you, so you should just open your microphone and speak.
Yes. Now from Italy, I am definitely interested. We are definitely interested in this high-ranked project. So we confirm our interest. Having 3 diamonds for the moment, I would put 1 diamond in this project.
Thank you very much, Italian delegate. From any of other 3 delegates, any objections, comments?
No, from the Danish agency, we also agree on selecting the first project because it's the highest ranked project.
Thank you. I see no comments at the moment. I think that the red project is an example of scientific excellency, and it is in line with our rules to fund the highest ranked projects. And I think that we can move to rank number 2. We have yellow, that is has scientific score of 14. And here we have Italian, Portuguese, and Danish delegates again that can commit their funds. Any comments, objections?
It's Julia again from the Danish funding agency. We only have 2 diamonds for this call. So actually for us, and I think we're also in project number 4. So if we select this project now and using 1 diamond on that one, then we will not be able to participate in project number 4. But we would be happy to select the project ranked with a scientific score of 14 before a project ranked with 13.
Is it possible to for Danish delegates to consider to raise their national budget?
Maybe only with half a diamond. So then we would ask if somebody could maybe overtake some tasks from the Danish partners in Project 4. That's possible for any other partner.
Yes. I think for Portugal would be in the same position. That's to say, we could allocate, well, initially we wanted to allocate 2 diamonds because we really like this project and have confidence in the teams involved. And maybe we could share not 2 diamonds, but split the second one into 2, and then we would have equivalent position because we're also potentially involved in 4 of the projects. So arrange with the Danish partner.
Italian delegate, thank you.
We confirm the interest. This is one of our 2 topics, and having 2 diamonds left, we would put 1 diamond in this project. So we cover at least with 2 projects our 2 topics.
Okay. Is it maybe to consider the 3rd project as well, because there is a similar group, including Algeria instead of Denmark, to consider how other priorities are? I mean, we have still geographical balance that is weak, and our Slovenian delegate is only in project number 4. Shall we consider the project number 3, any prioritizing between 2 and 3 maybe?
With regard to Italy, we may, considering also that the ranking is very similar for projects 2, 3, and 4. Personally, as a country, we are more interested maybe on skipping to the blue project because it would cover a topic which is relevant for us, animal rather than feed. And also considering the geographical coverage, maybe it's a wider coverage and we would involve our neighbor country, Slovenia, which is not present in this group.
I was waiting this moment, and I really appreciate, dear colleagues, that you were so kind and to split the diamonds that are really very, very important. And for us, both project, animal and crop sector, are very important for Slovenia. Yes, it's true that the project number 5, it's comparing with other, has the lowest score. But I think considering that the organic sector do not have a lots of funds, okay, to perform the research project, I think that maybe we should, I would suggest to consider even this 5th project.
I think
Thank you.
Sorry for intervening, but we only have 2 minutes left, so we should hurry up with selecting the last projects. Rafael?
Thank you, Danish delegates.
I just wanted to say that I concur with my colleagues, and to add geographical diversity, having to choose between the green and blue project, Algeria would go for funding the blue project with 1 diamond.
Thank you. Thank you.
And orange, what about orange?
I have to intervene from the Secretariat that we still have to resolve the issues with the higher ranked projects first. So 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and then see if the funds are remaining for number 5.
Yes.
In order to strictly follow the ranking list and scientific experts' advice. So summary, at the present, I think that we should consider if maybe the project number 2 that has a budgetary problem because Danish delegate cannot fund it, if it can be considered for skipping, and then the Danish delegate can fully fund project number 4. but that is also national priorities question.
I agree on that, Ivana, because I think it's better to have the geographical balance, and another project in animal husbandry still fits into the Danish interests.
And Italian and Portuguese representatives, how would you consider this proposal?
Well, I agree with funding the Blue project, although in our perspective, it would be preferable to skip the Green project because it has a lower ranking and because we are interested, our main focus is on crops and animals. So we would prefer to fund the second and the fourth, the yellow and the blue. But we are open to common decision, of course.
Thank you. Thank you. From Portuguese delegate, any recommendations?
Well, first point is that we don't want our money back, so we should use all funds available. And we leave it open for the fifth project, which is again on crops, which is priority for us. But we accept this proposal. We can discuss the blue one.
I can make a summary with the final selection decisions. So Project Reg has been selected. Project Yellow, I think that there is a slight uncertainty, and maybe we could try to conditionally approve it and ask Danish delegate to consider if maybe additional funds could be
Yes.
requested from the budget. Then we can approve also Project Green and Project Blue with, I think, no budgetary problems in any of the funding countries. Or the Italian funders, do you have sufficient funds to fund all four?
Well, if the decision is for four, we are not against, although feed is not in our priorities, but there is Italian partner in this project. So we can split half diamond in the green and half diamond in the blue. So we can cover, of course, this could require rearrangement of some duties, but we can work on it.
So we will need to consider to consult the coordinators of these two projects, and that means that they are also conditionally approved. In order to see if we can fund the last project that is with the lower scientific score 11.5. Any final comments from the three delegates, Slovenia, Portugal, and Algeria?
I must say that I ran out of budget funding Project Red, Green and Blue, so I unfortunately cannot provide funding for the Orange project.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, as for Portugal, in that case, we could reallocate the remaining budget to the other projects and potentially, that was in between.
Mm-hmm.
No problem if we can't fund it. Thank you.
Interesting to fund even this low rated, let's say, scored project, but then depends on other partners. So if this will not be the case, then Slovenia should put and spend 2 diamond on only on blue projects. So I think that some maybe limited funds, but in any case, I would suggest the colleagues to consider this project.
Thank you. Thank you. I think that at the moment we have a situation with one fully approved project, 3 conditionally approved, and I think that the budgetary conditions do not allow us to go forward with the project number 5. Maybe we can see if the remaining Slovenian funds can be reallocated in some other way, but I think that we would need to reject it according to the present budgetary availability. It still gives us a geographical coverage that everybody has invested in some of the projects, and I think that we have a good coverage of topics and respect for the scientific excellency. I think that with this we will have to finish the role play. I don't know if it was fun for our guests to see this, but 8 times in last 15 years, big meetings like this were held in order to select 62 projects of core organic. And Stefan usually, or he mentioned, and I really agree with him, it's a lots of technical details, a lots of discussion, but it's always special how the transnational cooperation brings us to the final conclusions where we still manage to agree despite of a national context where the delegates come from. So I would like to thank all the role play delegates. Thank you very much. And I give floor to Suzanne Padel, that is our chair for the following 2 sessions, representing Tunen Institute. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody, also from me. I'm Suzanne Padel. I work at the Tunen Institute for Farm Economics, which is not the Organic Agriculture Institute, but we're all part of the big Tunen family. So I've had a long-standing engagement. At some point, put an application into Core Organic, which unfortunately didn't get funded. But I also remember these situations when the call came and said, you have to reallocate tasks. You have to do things differently. The perspective of the researchers is very interesting. So it was good to hear and good to see from my point of view. But now we want to move on to, in the next block, present you a few results of projects that have been happening in Core Organic. But before we start, I just wanted to set the scene and remind us all, I don't think I need to remind you that agriculture is facing quite substantial challenges, but also quite substantial opportunities for organic agriculture, at least in the European Union, insofar as the targets have been set to 25%, which is new. And that will require all of our effort to get a lot of people more interested in organic agriculture, but there are also quite powerful vested interests at times arguing against doing more for organic agriculture, particularly also, I believe, in setting research agendas. So the next session will show you some highlights of 3 thematic areas, 3 macro schemes. Mette Vast from Aarhus University will start on animal production, and she will be supported by Marleen, or was supported in doing this work by Marleen. Mette has a long-standing experience in this area, and we have worked together at times and particularly discovered that we both really share the importance of the human perspective in this work. Mette did 2 PhDs, which I've always admired her for. So Mette will be the first presenter. She will be followed by Stefan, who is Stefan Bellon, an equally long-standing supporter and engaged in organic agriculture through his position at INRAE, also with the funding agencies in France. And he will present on plant production. And finally, we have Roberto Pinton from an organic consulting company in Italy. Roberto has got a bit of a different background to the 2 researchers, but that I think will only make things more interesting. And he will talk about organic food processing and is assisted by Sari from Finland in watching. We have not much time, as you all know, so we encourage you to place questions in the chat. The 3 presentations will come one after the other. And we're doing this live. Unlike some other events at the World Organic Congress where everything is pre-recorded, these guys are actually really going to speak to you in a moment. So I will try and keep a time. I will turn my camera off when they speak. If I turn my camera on, then please presenters see this as a reminder that your time's up and that you should wind up and come to a close. So at first I would like to ask Mette, so put your questions in the chat, we will look at them and then have a session of answering questions after the presentations. Mette, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Susanna, can I just ask if there were any questions, burning questions from the first session? We can take them also all together afterwards, but I forgot to ask Malene if somebody had a question, not only a comment.
There's nothing burning, but in the chat up until now, but I encourage everybody to edit. And
okay.
the chat in other sessions and here too can also be used to exchange views. So please make use of that facility. The questions that you want answering, please put them in questions. Mette, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, and also thank you very much for the nice introduction, Suzanne. Actually, I don't have 2 PhDs, but I had a PhD and then I became an anthropologist afterwards. So,
okay, I always misunderstood.
So that was a correction, but yes, this pitch has been developed actually in collaboration also with
the animal. Muted now, Mette.
Oh, what?
Sorry.
No.
No, it's fine. It's
fine. You can hear her? I couldn't right now, but fine.
Yes, yes. Please.
Okay, good. Yeah, it was developed between the current coordinators between the animal projects that are going on in the Organic Co-Fund and are just about to end now. And we looked across our different projects on poultry and mixed livestock and pigs and cattle and create what can you say, develop some visions for research to improve organic animal farming. So very much a systems approach. So something about integrating diversified multi-species systems and developing sustainable foraging, agroforestry, and pastoralism. Also, so weight on the outdoor systems, finding new potentials for homegrown protein feeds, especially for monogastrics, and also a systems approach to adopt resilience as a core of the health principle, to also significantly, of course, lower and phase out antibiotics, but focus on health, and the organic principle of health is just very unique and actually has this resilience in it. So, and then emphasize appropriate, including multi-purpose breeds. And we have 2 of the projects, Pre-Youngstock and Greater Daisy, are also about enabling enhanced mother-infant contact. And we explored that in the cattle sector, but actually it could be opened up to other animal species also. So next slide, please. So what we concluded based on our ongoing co-organic projects in particular was that we are emphasizing diversity, work with local context, work with resilience, work with system approaches. And because we have identified some current challenges, and these projects work to show possible pathways for complex and clever and context relevant solutions instead of these industrial one-size-fits-all systems. We work very much with the human actors and in our projects also, as much as could be done during COVID-19 time also, but also for the future, we emphasize this, and get free of the reliances and dependencies that we have in our farming and food systems. So we say farming in coherence with the iPhone principles, life worth living for current and future life on Earth. And then we had this future relevant, this next slide, please, yes. This frame of trying to look at this, we identified the common overall problem that although organic farming is well established as a labeled brand, we still have to be we still see ourselves being very much under pressure in terms of what we can call conventionalization, including broken food systems and specialization and dependency on all these inputs like antibiotics, like imported feeds and so on. And then on top of that, articulations also like climate unfriendly. So as opposed to precision livestock farming that is kind of fine-tuning farming and animals. And then the solution is, and I think organic is actually very much kind of creating a pocket for this type of approaches, increased research focus on systemic and holistic approaches and interdisciplinary approaches, and using the learning in an international setting actively to stimulate local solutions. And that is relevant for practice development, and therefore science needs to target whole systems and all actors and not focus on these technological fixes and fractions. So our end key message is enable flexible transnational and interdisciplinary work on systems level and with institutional and governance support. So thank you very much. I almost did not breathe for 5 minutes.
I have noticed. Congratulations.
You were absolutely perfectly on time. Thank you very much, Mette. That was a really quick gallop through organic livestock research under Core Organic. I don't want to say much more at this point. Please, Stefan, take over and present on the plant research.
So now another position in research. So I wanted to have a brief outlook regarding the different calls and the kind of topic calls we had. So said we also had a common ground with system approaches within different calls, looking at farming system design and reproduction as well. Also making connections between production, protection, and ultimately and recently on valuing ecological services. So the subtopics we could identify in the subsequent calls are written, but it's more, I would say the two keywords maybe are more about than plant production itself. And more recently, we see the terms biodiversity, ecological support, so that's maybe getting back to the roots and the fundamentals of organics and looking at ecology as well. So next slide, please. I won't go into details. Just to give you an outlook at what come out from the project leaflets, which are on our website. So you have the kind of keywords coming out from a word cloud. I just selected two projects just to give you some flavor about what was achieved. And that's AgTech is on the left-hand side, is one of the first projects, but under the umbrella of food quality, but making connections as well from the field from the seed almost to the final product, and looking at flour quality and food security, looking at mycotoxins and that sort of thing. So that's to me a good example of kind of cross-cutting approach, having with different disciplines and from the seed to the plate final product. And another project which was in Core Organic Plus, that's between 2005 and 2018, is called Eco Orchard. That's about innovation and management of orchards using functional biodiversity. And among the some outputs of this project were, for instance, looking at farmers' attitudes regarding the use of functional biodiversity. They identified 4 attitudes, farmers' attitudes, and you have a paper which will be released next month, I think. The first author is a social scientist, also a project with different disciplines and, of course, international or European coverage. And another example of their output is improving kind of a game how to design an orchard using flower strip, edges, and so on. So that's about the conception and some new avenues. Next slide, please. I won't go into the details of those projects, which are well documented in leaflets, and we have some outputs. That's the end of those projects in Core Organic Co-Fund. But I just wanted to give you a flavor of interactions we had during research seminars with project coordinators, which you see on the left parts. So you have Green Resilient, you have SureVeg, BioVine. And those seminars are important not only to facilitate interactions among project coordinators, but also to interact between and coordinators, researchers involved in project, to have in the course of the project this type of interaction, articulations, and connections between both. So there are every 2 years, more or less, within the core organic program, and that's really a fertile ground for us to know about the project. Last slide, please. So just some conclusions that to reflect about the not only project dynamics, but the overall program evolve in topics and achieve consensus, as Ivana said it. Obviously, not all the topic calls were covered, but that's something we have in stock, I would say, for not only for other calls and countries, but also to think about our national calls and the possibilities to value also the results of the projects with a wider audience. System approach, I would say, was in that topic at least, but there is possible improvement for transdisciplinarity, obviously, not only, well, although some projects had strong interactions with stakeholders. As I said, outreach seminars and research seminars were important as interactions, and we identified some of the added values of transnational cooperation, but that might be for the next session. And well, we'll come back to that, but we also think about worthwhile and what can we gain in working together at these in those transnational projects. Thank you. That's what I wanted to briefly say. Hope I didn't go over my time. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Stefan. Now you were also very good on time. Co-Organic must have trained you all over years to really watch your time pitches. So just as a reminder, if you have questions that you want to put to the presenters, you are already able to type them in the question box. Or if you have some exchanges you want to carry on, the chat is open, and we will take live questions in a few minutes. But first, we would like to invite Roberto to give his presentation on the food processing theme. Roberto, the floor is yours. Do we have Roberto able to speak?
I cannot see the participants list. Has Roberto logged in?
He was logged in earlier, but right now I can't see him. In which case I would suggest we switch to plan B, which there isn't, but we do it now immediately, which is to take questions to Stefan and Mette at this point in time, if there are. And I see there's the first question to Stefan from Ilse. Ilse, do you want to unmute yourself and ask it directly?
Hopefully you can hear me. Stefan, you said in your last slide that you think that the transdisciplinarity should be improved in the cropping systems projects. Do you have any ideas how to increase that transdisciplinary, and do you have anything special that you think that should be focused on? Thank you.
Thank you, Ilse, for your question. To me, transdisciplinarity is about getting more interaction with not only among disciplines, but with a variety of stakeholders, and really building together the rational and problematics, as we say in French, of the project. So that's which can be more open within the calls themselves. There are some indications regarding what kind of project consortia and what kind of arrangement, finally we want to have. So that's at the first level highly supporting this kind of pattern or setting, and to ensure within the course of the project that's not an alibi or a participation where we say, well, there are a group partners, but we don't really see them and to what extent they contribute. So that's more about the follow-up and about knowing better ensuring that there is a way to cooperate within the course of the project, and not to leave all the communication part as a final result, because when there's transdisciplinarity, it also ensures that the results are available and in the form such that partners can have access to it and not at the end of the project. So it's about the general dynamics and probably needs some training or expertise and experience from the coordinators and partners on the research side. Hope I didn't answer your question.
A valuable point, and I hope we can return to the question of transdisciplinarity again. I know Roberto was right now in the participants again. Roberto, if you're there, make yourself visible so we can see you. I know it's difficult because you have other responsibilities as well at the moment, so that does seem to be difficult.
We can also go to Uygun's presentation and then have Roberto later on, because I think Uygun might be ready.
Yes, that's a good idea. And finally, alternatively, we could also see whether Sari might be able to make some points to his presentation, but I prefer if he can do it himself. So Uygun,
Yes.
An additional perspective, which is very welcome at this point, please.
Thank you. I'm going to give some reflections from a non-EU country. As Susan was saying, I was also part of some proposals, but our projects were not elected, but we appreciate the outcomes of Core Organic. Can you move it a little bit faster so that I can? Regarding the need for organic research, I don't want to repeat what was already said, but we know that on one hand, we have various challenges from technical to human side to planet side. And organic is, or let's say agroecological based alternatives are presented as a part of the solution, building up resilience. So in that respect, organic research is important, not only for the EU, which is possibly the leading, let's say, part, but it's also important for other countries, because we know that all over the world, in almost every country, we have organic production. Sometimes the market is not developed at domestic level. It's mainly for the export, but we need research to put forward both the advances and the outcomes from the country point of view. Can I go a little bit faster? Yeah. In that respect, we know that there was a, let's say, series of organic, core organic, which shows that it was providing benefits to the funders. And one, let's say, critical point I want to make is regarding the membership. We know that not every EU members, for example, participated in the co-funding. And regarding the non-EU members, it's still quite few. Whereas there are a lot of new initiatives in the neighboring parts, like in Russia, CIS countries, Balkan, Middle East, Central Asia. So building up some networks and initiating research work together with networking may help those groups. The other point that I want to, let's say, tackle is that, as we have seen in the play part, the funding and the priorities are decided by the group, but the funders are the final decision makers in supporting the projects or the teams. For example, Germany, from the list, as I have noticed, is not willing to support the animal husbandry part, but they are quite advanced. So there could be some tools like the advisory board or some, let's say, roles in terms of getting that expertise in the projects to increase the cross-fertilization and transfer of knowledge, experience that is gained in those countries which are already advanced. The other issue is there were some problems at the beginning, but nowadays ministries or the research councils have given more guidance in terms of applications and in terms of implementation, which was a good advancement. But as it was mentioned, there are limitations in terms of involving industry and other stakeholders, whereas in organic, there's a need to integrate those views as stakeholders. Can we move? What were the benefits? For example, I will give the example of how I met Mette. We had a colleague from the animal husbandry department of a university, of another university, who was in a core organic project with her. And then he invited her to one of our national symposia on organic. So as a plant producer, let's say, I had the chance to meet her and to extend the network of core organic into the national network. And it was not only regarding becoming of a part of a network, but exchange of research methodology in terms of infrastructure has led non-EU researchers to submit proposals to different funding agencies, including the EU, making their visibility improved also in terms of the publications. Can we go? As a conclusion, I would like to say that, as it's again mentioned, the new Green Deal or the action plan on organic agriculture will trigger, or it's expected to trigger organic farming systems, but its effect will not be only in the EU, coming from, for example, Turkey or knowing Central Asia. I know that everybody is evaluating those action plans and the advances in Europe, how they will achieve those targets, what are the policies, and so on. So in that respect, in the coming decade, maybe there will be more requests in terms of research cooperation, and there will be some new areas like organic aquaculture, which is highlighted in the, let's say, action plan, or protected cultivation of vegetables. FAO is now working on a working group, and urban agriculture with shorter, let's say, marketing channels will be some others, I think. The last slide, may I have the last one? And in that respect, I ask the Secretariat to increase awareness among potential non-EU partners. For example, Uzbekistan, in their roadmap on organic, they would like to promote research in the field of organic. So why not integrate those countries by more, let's say, making aware of the core organic or similar activities. The other issue is it could also seek some additional ways, because in the research field, there's always a discussion of some difficulties faced in organic research, whereas some other groups, like the International Society for Horticulture, they have groups on organic. So why don't we meet more often and learn from each other? And as we have more stakeholders involved, different views, I believe the results will receive wider dissemination possibilities. And I finalize my words saying that we are a family, and the final stage, slide please, we need more research to show and support that organic is good for the planet, for the human, for the animal. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. And now, I think there was some really important points made. There seemed to be some echo in the line. Some important points. I won't say much more because it's a bit disturbing right now. Roberto, are you ready?
Yes, I am. Sorry, but we have some connection problem. I am working with the smartphone. I hope it works fine.
Don't be sorry. We're just pleased to have you now.
Very quickly. So I think we all, as organic operators, have to keep the consciousness of the fact that we are made in the world with the probably 100,000 processor home in Europe. We are people working. We are bigger Malta, bigger than Iceland, and of Liechtenstein, sure, and on Vatican. But all those countries in the United Nations organization in table. So we are so small as an industry of the market because we have only information. It's unlucky because the information in home production we imported the last so around 700,000 of banana. And if you have an idea on banana, it means that for and
well, it seems the connection might have failed us again. Sari, are you able to say a bit more about the slides, or are we waiting for Roberto to come back?
I think that Roberto is probably the best presenter because I don't know how much of presentation, Sari, you have been doing together. It's mainly the feedback, I think, from your side.
Yes, it is. And actually, I have seen this presentation this morning first time. But it's very nice presentation, and it would be nice to continue. So the message is nice and important for us.
Well, maybe we are able to return to this in a few moments. So I would suggest, I was actually wanting to do a little poll with you guys. So please go to the poll section of your Q&A, and I will now, oh no, I can't, you have to.
Shall I try?
I can. It's going to run for about a minute, and you should just indicate, it's a very simple multiple choice question. You should all know how to do this. And we just want to see which of the thematic areas is most important to you. So here we go. This is the third tab on your Q&A tabs. First one being chat, second one being questions, third one being poll. So far, I've only got 2 votes. So if others are able to, please do. This is the modern world of interaction that lead to audience interaction with polls.
So you
try. Yes, 11 votes now. Great. Some more want to cast the vote. You can see it?
No, I can't see where that poll is, but I can see multiple screens.
You see the third chat? You have the Q&A box open?
Q&A? No.
Which has chat.
But I think I have to go out from full screen mode or something.
No, it should be live questions at the bottom. You
oh,
see
yeah,
that
exactly. So I need to go out of full screen. Yeah.
Click that. Only a few seconds. Never mind. Never mind. We have 18 votes, and the final result is that I can now export the answers and maybe even share them with you. Well, I tell you what the result was. It was 50% for mixed systems, 22 for animal production, 6 only for plant production, 17 for food production, and 6 for other. The result will go into the recording of the event. Well, that was just a little game. So let's return to the serious business of questions and answers. We are still hoping that some of you may raise questions to the audience, to the presenters. And I'll give you a short moment to think about something.
Susanne, we have agreed with Raphael, given that he's our representative, one of our representatives in the city in Rennes, that he will connect himself from some place and show us a little bit around. And maybe we can ask him to see this at the moment.
Hi.
Hi.
I just wanted to say hi. Special place in the city that's called Place Sainte-Anne. That's where you can find the place where we were all supposed to meet.
Close the presentation
for the Congress.
Stop sharing.
Sorry.
Stop sharing, then it will be bigger.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's great.
Wow.
There you go. So right behind me is the and I don't know if you can read on top of the tower, but it's written Congress. So even though we cannot be there live, I thought it was a nice idea to just show you around and show you what are the surroundings. So there's a beautiful church there, and that's the small place you would be walking through to reach the Organic World Congress.
Thank you,
That's
Raphael. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
I shall be embracing the rain when this session is finished and return to the site. There is a question from Ilse. How much collaboration is there between core organic projects, and what does core organic do to promote such collaboration between the projects that core organic has funded? I don't know whether Ivana maybe want to take the answer, or
maybe I can start. And I think a reference to Stefan's presentation where he mentioned the research seminars can be one relevant answer. The themes of core organic are modeled according to what you have seen. So the animal systems, plant systems, food processing, but at the same time, we try to encourage cross-project work between the researchers in these areas, sometimes even across the areas. And I think Mette's presentation was also relevant because she mentioned the recommendations and work across 5 different projects working on animal production in the current core organic co-fund. This is actually very important because it gives to the researchers broader family approach. So it's not a single project approach, but the core organic is a program in continuity supporting research community in Europe and beyond. So I think that this cross project collaborations are possible also because there is a framework that is existing for a number of years. Comparing to single calls when you apply only for one 3 years project. If anybody else from the team would like to supplement, Mette, please.
Mette, please.
Me too.
Yeah. I just wanted. I mean, you just mentioned it that we in the 5 animal projects have had some collaboration also on writing some things together and present and so on. And then we have the 2 projects with Pro Youngstock and Gracie Daisy that we are having joint seminars and so on. But I would also like to emphasize the importance of bringing the maybe not only the coordinators, but also trying to have open seminars and with emphasis on methods and organic frameworks and so on. I think we had a fantastic good meeting in Italy as a start of these co-organic projects that were really, really fruitful. And I think, what happened?
No, you're fine.
Okay, good. And I think that, of course, COVID-19 came and it was impossible, but I think that should really be prioritized in the future also, because I see co-organic projects as a kind of a space where it's possible to do more, more like holistic research and learn from other countries. And I think that's to network between, I think is really, really important.
Yeah.
Stefan.
Okay, just in addition, we also have a monitoring group where we have dedicated persons for each of the macro themes, and they can create connection with the macro team to get information and facilitate coordination or communication among projects within a team.
There was a second comment from Marianne Blom. Maybe you can have a quick look at that and pick that up. Is the value of core organic well known enough in the organic community in Europe and beyond? Maybe you would like to comment on that? I certainly know that for us who have at some time taken part, we are aware of it, but I also know that the multitude of projects that are running in core organic and beyond in the European research agenda and at national level makes it sometimes impossible to follow. So anybody wants to comment on how well is core organic known?
Well, I can say something maybe. Regarding the results, we have facilities such as project leaflets, documents translated in different languages from the outputs of the project, which facilitate the spreading or dissemination of the results, including some technical leaflets like in peak projects and so on, were well documented and even adapted to farmers. And that's really a challenge. I agree with that, but well, that's through the process. And this forum, Stakeholders Forum, is another opportunity to get to spread or to say more about the project and what the intentions, ambitions are.
Gun will have a view because you are maybe acquainted with colleagues from a broader geographical areas. How much core organic is known?
I think it is not very well known, to make a very general, let's say, comment. I think one of the other reasons is for the non-EU countries. They are mainly coordinated by the ministry or the research council. So, I mean, I didn't go into detail, but maybe from the overall general point of view, these ministries or at national level, they can be, let's say, asked to promote more. But in that respect, there is the integration of other stakeholders. So the ministry, for example, in Turkey, promote at ministry level, but not at a larger community level. But I think everyone, as Stefan said, this stakeholder forum is one of the tools to inform the interest groups. And as I had mentioned in the preparatory session, I circulated the information to some of my colleagues, but when there was the registration fee situation, they responded back to me saying that, oh, we had to pay 235 euros, and that was too much for us. So I think these opportunities can be increased in, I mean, like the Organic World Congress, but still it's more within the organic community. One of the things that I was mentioning about, for example, the International Society for Horticultural Science, among the participants, I know some familiar names, but those cross-fertilizations could also joint meetings or going a step further and attending to those meetings online or face-to-face will help to disseminate, I believe. But there is an interest from, this is what I see, from the non-EU countries for organic research.
Well, I thank you, Eugen, for your comments, and thank you, Zari, for sharing the Roberto's final slide. And maybe Ivana could put up the final slide just for everybody to see, because I think the first point that is made there, organic is nice, but authorities often defend it in public, but do not do so in private. Then they foster the interests of agribusiness. And I think that is a contradiction within many countries, not that we are working with, that there are two agendas at shape. So we have 10 million. Yeah, thank you. Let it be like that. It doesn't matter. There we go. I think one before.
Is this one?
Maybe even one before. No, maybe not.
It's,
Sorry.
This one.
34.
This is the one. Thank you.
Yes. This is the
And
message. Yeah.
Sari, did you want to say anything to it as well, or?
Well, you can continue. Yes, I think that it's quite clear message for us, and it also emphasizes the need of organic research. We need to support the whole supply chain to perform better.
I think what I also found interesting is our little totally unscientific poll. Totally unscientific, absolutely. But the dominant, in so much research, dominant theme of crop production actually didn't come out that strongly. And maybe that is a message for a smaller network like Core Organic to consider where can we complement what traditional national funders and European funders are likely to go for. Where can we go for topics that are not so commonly picked up in the general public? But I really shouldn't be talking all the time. I would like to put one question to our presenters. And do you remember, where did projects in your area, crops, livestock, food processing, in the non-EU context, where did they really make a difference for the organic sector and beyond, in your country or in other countries? And I don't know who wants to start. Stefan had some pre-warning of the question, so he spoke yesterday about it. Stefan, are you able to, where did projects in your area really make the difference?
Of course. To me, there's one first point is maybe that our calls are really centered on organic agriculture, which is not always the case in calls where organic agriculture is considered. So we really have a focus on these issues and the potential for organic development, which is something specific. We also, secondly, I would like to remind what I said regarding the evolution in topics. Recently, we gave more attention to ecological processes, and there is possibly a reconnection with the basics of organic sector, which was ecologically based. And I think we also have the opportunity to have a greater connection, articulation among different scales, from the national to European and maybe EU and maybe Europe and other countries levels, and which is facilitated by the opening to newcomers, and which is also facilitated by the commitment we have to disseminate the results of the project. So that's about that. Thank you.
Thank you. I noticed Mette put her camera on. Do you want to?
Yeah. No, I mean, you asked experiences where we have participated in projects that had impact somehow, and impact, of course, it can be can happen on different levels. But I would say very much the ones where we engage with with the farming sector, I would say that is like the local impact. And at the moment where we work with some small dairy companies in this about cow-calf and so on, I think that actually brings a lot of impact. And then I think that's maybe my personal experience, and also colored by the fact that I work with humans and animals, but where we kind of manage to embrace those areas that we have a systems approach and how to work with these systems. I think that is actually bringing it somewhere. And then for a remark about the organic projects, I think it's very valuable and useful to kind of think of strategies when you have a organic project to how to support it also with some national funds in what can you say, in kind of synergy projects, because then it gains more momentum, and maybe you can get disciplinary research in your have the framework of systems approaches in co-organic. I don't know if you can understand. I mean, I try to say it very quickly, but if it makes sense, if you can follow what I mean.
Well, it makes perfect sense to me, and I think the point is very important that an international or transnational framework cannot do everything in every country.
No, exactly.
There needs to be national initiative complementing it in the particular country, and we have also noticed that in some projects, in some European Horizon projects or Horizon 2020 projects, that the complementarity between having the joint umbrella that allows us to sort of really understand what is going on, but the local application, which at times has to be different just to respect the local context. And if that duality could work well, then we would be really winning. I personally feel that organic will be more important than ever to make the organicness part of its brief, because within the general framework of sustainability and agroecology and regenerative and blah, blah, there are many more, it will be important to also remake and make again and again and again the point that organic has a major contribution to play in this and is not a niche that should be put aside. So I think we're all called to do that. I'm always sounding like I'm doing the closing speech now, but that wasn't my intention.
Susanne, there is a comment question from Paul. Maybe
yes, I saw that. I was just wanting to come back to that.
Yeah.
Maybe Stefan, it was a question addressed at you, which is resilience and climate change will be one of the major challenges in the future. How could organic give even more weight to that issue, and how could we make it more visible?
First of all, I'd like to remind that the organic sector took this question seriously during the first conference in Clermont-Ferrand in France in 2009, where let's say the issue of adaptation to climate change was less documented, but mitigation was certainly. And the evolution in topics and the interest maybe is about the role of biodiversity and diversification of farming systems, which would certainly contribute to this second dimension. I think the second part of the question regarding connections between agroecology and organic agriculture will be addressed this afternoon during workshop number 8, I think. But to be brief, I would say that those neither inclusive nor exclusive. I think they all have their own dynamics, and that's something we'll talk about this afternoon. So I won't be too long on that, but there are convergences and connections now between both agroecology and organic agriculture.
So to avoid being cut off in mid-flow, I will now cut off and give the final word to Ivana so she can close and has some final remarks to make.
I think that we have a few more minutes, and I thank Susanne. Thanks, Susanne, for a reminder that this is very sharp. So we abruptly just disappear, and in order to avoid the no greetings, it's a very good way of concluding. I think that together with the conclusion, I would really like to go back to Roberto's presentation. Sari has been very kind to put important points, and these are the points of where the research findings from our projects really need to get into connection with the relevant market processes and also market needs for research. This will be one of the pathways for the coming core organic phase. We are closing the core organic co-fund in 22. And in Horizon Europe, there is a possibility to work in a new instrument framework that is called partnerships on agroecology, partnerships on food system, and maybe some others, where the elements of impact are very much valued and appreciated. This means that having only research part in our work, not multi-actor approach with the full integration of farmers, stakeholders, and industry, it would not longer be possible. It was not possible now to have a good impact, but this will technically no longer be possible. So I think that we will invite Roberto to some other presentations in the context of core organic. He's also part of the research project ProOrg, working on a code of practice for organic processing industry. So future messages is we would really like to invite colleagues from other parts of the world. Core organic has already broadened to Mediterranean shores, but please, if you are part of the stakeholder organization or funding institutions, regional or national, get in contact with us. We also like to thank everybody from the coordination team led by Susanne and the speakers for this special session. As a last slide, I would like to share with you, we have produced a report that was actually, oh, now it has disappeared completely. We have produced a report that is on our website that explains about the core organic. So if you would like to know more and be in touch with us, please have a look. And you can also access to our newsletters, see the information that is there. If that could be of interest, share it with your colleagues. So the 15 years of work is here with you. I hope that this inspires you. If it has, come back to us with your ideas about the future research possibilities, about future transnational cooperation possibilities, and thank you for your kind attention. Thank you and merci.
Well, thank you also from me for all the contributions we have received, and apologies for the slight hiccups we had at a technical level. I think we all will need to do a lot. We all will do a lot more than we have done in order to achieve the ambitious targets that not only the European Commission has set up, but that the planet demands. We really need to get organic on the map and organic as a solution established wherever we can, because some friend of mine calls them the forces of darkness are not quiet either. So we really need to do our very best and even a bit more. So thank you all for coming, and I hope Core Organic, I wish Core Organic a very long and really successful future, because I think we need you guys. So please continue. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye from Rennes.
Enjoy the Congress. Thank you for being there and representing this community. Thank you to all Core Organic and guests, Core Organic representative and guests present at the session.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.